Hello everyone, my name is Lily Archive. I talk about fundies and very occasionally other stuff, but today we're talking about fundies because I don't know if y'all are familiar, but there used to be this account that was really popular in like the Duggar Bates snark world or just for fans in general, and it was called Duggar Bates Confessions. And it really was a good idea to get like the idea of the people who are really like follow this kind of stuff, what their opinions are, especially like their unpopular opinions or what the general consensus is. So they used to post quite a lot. I'm sure they used to get a lot of confessions, especially when the shows were on the air, but now they don't get that many and they post really infrequently. They honestly had not posted in a year, but they did recently post, and that is what this video is. I'm gonna be looking at the Duggar Bates confessions for the year and gonna be going over them. I'm gonna start with the oldest confessions and go up to the current confessions. These are all like August 2024 to current 2025 confessions.
It's really fake and gay. And I am actually an expert on all matters that are fake and gay.
All right, so the first one says, I wish Jessa and Michelle would try something new with their hair. It's been the same for a long time. The other girls have played around with different styles. I will say, do you guys remember that one time on the show they gave Jim Bob and Michelle makeovers and it just looked absolutely ridiculous? They tried to make Jim Bob look so young. I actually think Michelle's looked really good. I agree. I don't mean to be rude. I do agree, Jessa, as somebody who does the same hairstyle their whole life and really could shake it up, Jessa could shake it up for sure. Especially just like cutting her hair a little bit, especially with little ones. I know it's easier, but I will say, I hate to be rude, but do you guys remember when Joy got those bangs? They could be scared to end up in a situation like that. And then, as you know, the atrocity that is Jill's braids right now that she's going through, it is a lot. So I don't know if we want these girls to get new hairstyles because I'm kind of afraid of what might happen. Okay, the second one is a Bates confession, and it says, I still can't believe Katie and Travis named their son Harvey. They obviously haven't heard of the Me Too movement. Now, I disagree with this. And my girlfriend will laugh at this because Harvey is like a name in her family. And I love the name Henry. Like that's always been my favorite name, which obviously there is a Duggar named Henry and a Bates named Henry at this point. But at this point, I really can't get away with that. Any name that I'm gonna like, there might be a Duggar or a Bates that already has that name, or like a Rodriguez or one of those other families that already has that name. And if they don't have it, there for sure will be one in the future. They just have so many children that they're going to have to take claim over all of the names at some point. But anyway, so my girlfriend, Harvey is like a name in her family. So I was like, babe, if we had two boys, we should definitely name them Henry and Harvey. It would be so cute. Like, can't you imagine? Like, that's my favorite name of all time. And that name goes so well with it. And she's like, absolutely not. What about Harvey Weinstein? There's plenty of Harveys. Like the TMZ guy, you guys know I love gossip. Naming this kid after gossip, a gay gossiper, makes sense. Honestly, oh, she's home. I was filming a video. I was just talking about you too. All right, here she is. She doesn't like the name Harvey for a child's name.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, okay, so the next confession is another Bates confession. It says, the Bates must be making bank off of YouTube because Carlin got an in-ground pool. Katie can afford an apartment and still keep rent at her home in the east. I guess I mean north. Trace is constantly traveling. They need to share their YouTube secrets. So their YouTube secret is basically that they already have a built-in audience from the TV shows. But anyway, I agree. Carlin got an in-ground pool. In-ground pools these days are like $100,000. Obviously, this is an old confession because Katie bought a house and still rents out her other home, which really isn't that crazy. Like, she rents out that other home in a more expensive area that offsets her mortgage here. Like, it's not that crazy. I will say they probably do make bank off of YouTube and different sponsorships. I'm looking at the view stats, which gives a kind of estimate of revenue on YouTube. Mine, obviously, there's a very much smaller margin for error. So mine is fairly accurate if you look at like the middle of the estimated revenue. It says here that under those rules, it says here that Travis and Katie's would be about $4,000 a month. I think it has to be more, especially because they post shorts. Although shorts make less on YouTube, I think that their shorts do pretty good. Okay, then Lawson's I actually think is the most accurate. It would be him making about $20,000 a month. I think that's a little bit more accurate. Then Carlin and Evan's would be about 6, and Trace's and Lydia would be like 1K. I really don't know. I think that probably a lot of their revenue comes from sponsorships, I would say. Then they've got a confession that says Jana, Joanna, Johanna, Anna, and Hannah, Addison, and Madison, plus 2 Madisons now. Honestly, at this point, if I were in the family, I'd be super grateful. Jessa chooses really weird names for her kids. No one can come close to making something similar, LOL. Honestly, Jessa's been doing a good job here lately. We can't blame her, keep on blaming her for something she did 10 years ago. Come on now. She's had 5 children with fine names. It's just their middle names sometimes are really weird. And that's only occasionally. I feel like she hasn't done a really weird one in a long time. Like her first 2 were really the only ones. We gotta let it go. Yeah, I agree. At a certain point, you have so many people in your family, kind of like I was talking about earlier, that you have no claim on the name. So they have like a Jana, Joanna, Johanna. That was crazy because they really didn't. There were so many J names that they could have picked instead of like 3 that sound exactly the same. And then Anna and Hannah marrying into the family. Then they have a Madison, Maddie, and an Addison. They have a Jedediah and Jeremiah, and then they have the Jeremiah with the Jeremy. They have, just in the original family, a Josiah, Joseph, Joshua, and Josie. A lot of Joes. Then they have a Mason and Jason. And then all together, like within a year, they have an Evelyn, who they call Evie, an Evangeline, who they call Evie, and then they have an Ivy, and they have an Emma and Emery. But the Bates family is way worse. Oh, my girlfriend's name is Emma. That's why she looked. And in the Bates family, they have like a Zach and a Jack. They have a Will and a William, which makes sense because it's a family name. They have a Cade, Zaid, and a Slade, which is absolutely ridiculous. I do agree. They have a Callie and an Allie, and they have a Casey and a Macy. So at this point, when you have so many people in your family, like people are going to have rhyming names, similar names, or even the same name at some points. So I don't think it's that crazy. I do think it's crazy that Jim Bob and Michelle gave their children such similar names. So then we have a confession about Jana's wedding. They say, I just watched part 1 of Jana's wedding video and 3 things come to mind. She looks stunning. 1, I agree. 2, it wasn't awkward to watch. So for me, it seemed like there was genuine love. I agree. 3, I 100% believe there's no way their first kiss was on their wedding day. I agree with that. I don't think that that was their first kiss. I think that out of the kids, Josh, Jill, Jessa, Ginger, Joe, Josiah, maybe Joy, and that's pretty much it. That's the only ones I think their first kiss was out the altar, to be honest. Somebody says Jessa is pregnant with baby number 7. I think they meant baby number 6 because she only has 6. Do we think Jessa will have the most grandkids? This will be Duggar 39. Honestly, no. Here's my predictions. I think Jessa will have 8. I think Jana will have 4. I think Jill's done and Ginger is done. I think Joe will have around 8. I know that they've kind of stopped. They haven't had kids in a couple years, but I believe in the Caldwells, there's several points where they don't have kids for a couple years and then they have a bunch back to back. I don't think it's that crazy. Josiah, I think they'll have 9. I think they'll be one of the bigger families. Joy, I think might have 1 or 2 more, so at 5. Jed will probably have 8. I think at a certain point they will stop. It just gets to a point where it's a little much. Jer, I think, will have 9, which I'm just saying based on having those 3 back to back. His wife is a bit older. Jason, I think they'll just have 2. And then James is courting, allegedly, Lydia Swanson. So normally I would say they would have quite a few, especially with Lydia only being 18 years old right now. However, I have heard that James is one of the more, not crazy ones, but a little bit more thinks for himself and has like different views more so. So I think it could go in a situation where he kind of runs things more like Jason, where he might not have as many. I think maybe 4. That's where I'm going to guess right now until I have more data. And then Justin, I really don't know because I don't know their situation with children and what's going on with them. Next confession. I don't know if it's just me, but Dubai, really, Carlin and Evan are starting to become really materialistic and not down to earth. And no, it's not because they're going to Dubai. It's just everything. And Josie too, oh my. So I'm very uncomfortable by extreme commercialism. However, I mean, the way that they grew up, like, just, there's no way that all of their needs were completely met in so many different ways. I can understand why, now that they have more money, they have less responsibilities because they have less kids, that they would, you know, take the trips, go places. I don't think it's crazy that they want to travel. I think that it is a little wild, like, how much stuff they kind of shill on Amazon. But I think it's great they travel and that they get to do that, because I mean, they definitely grew up in a situation where they couldn't do that. And sometimes, I mean, they didn't say this, but some of the Duggars have said, like, there was food insecurities, that kind of thing. I'm not that bothered by it. So this one's about Warden Bates. Somebody says, Warden added me on Snap. At first, everything was normal until he asked what I wanted to do. I just reverse asked him, and he said he wanted to do me, which is okay. Anyway, let's just say he's a cheater. While he was talking to and visiting, dating multiple other girls, he was sexting me and planning to meet up with me. Multiple girls reached out to me with proof and with timelines showing he was talking to all of us at the same time, cheater. So there's been several different accounts saying kind of similar things over on the Bates Reddit. To me, it kind of seems like the same person on different accounts. I don't know. I haven't looked that much into it. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Warden was kind of a douche like that. And if anybody in that family was going to be, it would probably be him. However, I don't know. I just think in this particular instance, take things with a grain of salt when you're hearing kind of similar rumors. So somebody says the beach family vacation they just went on. I wonder if Anna was invited. Does she look upon the post videos and wish she could be part of the family? Is she a part of the family still? Does she still live on the property, or did she move to Florida to be with her parents or live near them instead? So to answer the second question, I have seen places where she like is posting about her business that she lives like kind of in the mountains on her own place. The picture, she's like full on like just posts her house. I won't post it here obviously, but she just full on posts her house. It's a huge house. So perhaps the rumors about Jim Bob buying her a large home could be true. So no, she still lives in Arkansas, not on the Duggar compound. Obviously, we were getting all those rumors kind of a couple years ago that Anna had a falling out with a bunch of the siblings, and that Jim Bob had some feelings about her or whatever. Who knows if those are true? I'm kind of thinking that she just doesn't want to be a part of that. Last one. Anyone else not a huge fan of the name Navy Kate? Just seems like a weird pick for Carlin and Evan. I don't think it's a weird pick at all, actually, because honestly, if they had a child named Layla and then they have a child named Navy, I would think that was a little weird and a little bit of a jump. But when they chose Zayd, I knew they were going to go get crazier and crazier. If they have more kids, trust the next name after Navy will be even weirder than Navy, I swear. All right, y'all. Those were all the Duggar Bates confessions for the last 12 months. I hope you guys have a good week.
Just it's really fake and gay. And I am actually an expert on all matters that are fake and gay.